on the road of recovery.
My name is Collichie. I've been clean since June 7th, 2015. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm just happy to be here.
Thanks so much for joining us. Could you start off by sharing a little bit about your childhood?
Absolutely. I actually had a remotely decent childhood for the most part. I was raised by a single parent, my mother. Whenever I was like 1 year old, my mom came home one day and my father was nodded off on the couch with the needle sticking out of his arm. And she basically gripped me and my sister up out of a crib. And we left that day, and I have not seen him since, and neither has my sister. And we've had zero communication. But, you know, we moved into a house right up the street from my grandparents. And nothing, my grandparents were the most selfless, loving people that I've ever met in my entire life. And, you know, my mother worked a lot, but, you know, she did the best that she could raising us. And, you know, she suffered with alcoholism whenever I was real young. But after we left, you know, she managed to get 16 years. So she was basically sober my entire childhood growing up. So I was never really around like drugs or alcohol, violence. I mean, yelling, commotion, like none of that. So, I mean, to a degree, I would say that I had a pretty normal childhood. But even despite all the love that I've encountered and the guidance and the right direction that I was shown, I still just never felt complete. And I always felt like I felt like a piece of me was missing. And honestly, whenever I found drugs and alcohol, that's what first time in my life that I truly ever felt complete.
Gotcha. Absolutely. And that's so much the case for so many of us. So could you kind of paint a picture of what your active addiction was like?
Yeah, I mean, my story is really no different than anyone else's, but, you know, my life was truly, as you know, as our literature describes it, is this torturous existence. And I have, I guess you could say, like levels to addiction, as far as times when my life was somewhat manageable and then times where I couldn't even take care of myself. And I used to go many days, if not an entire week, without brushing my teeth or showering. I used to go days without eating. You know, once I've found, you know, intravenous drugs, my life was completely flipped upside down. And, you know, before that, though, you know, I started using, you know, around the age of 12 or 13. And like I said, it was like, you know, my solution, you know, but then it quickly became my problem. And the disease of addiction, you know, really is very progressive. And my progression was very quick. I was constantly on the lookout, you know, to find like new types of highs. So by the time I was a senior in high school, I was already strung out on heroin. And before that, I was already strung out on opiates. And, you know, right after high school is when I became a very minor criminal. And, you know, I would boost and steal every single day of my life. And it was nothing for me or some of my acquaintances to have, you know, warrants out for our arrest, or, you know, in and out of the county jail, or, you know, overdosing on sidewalks. I mean, it honestly, any day could have been my last, truly. So the fact that I'm actually here and I'm still breathing, you know, not only makes me very fortunate, you know, and blessed, but also very lucky, you know, because I have so many friends, you know, that didn't even get, you know, 1/10 of the chances that I got to do this, you know. So I don't know, my gratitude today comes from knowing that I am here for a reason, and just like I said, been given so many chances to do the right thing, and I take this very seriously.
Absolutely. Because it is life and death. And that's, we've had to bury way too many people. So we are the lucky ones. So could you talk about, like, at that lowest point, what happened that you, you know, decided to do something different, and what that process, early days, looked like for you?
Yeah, I mean, so, I mean, I've hit many bottoms, you know, over the years. And, you know, people always describe the physical thing that may have happened, but at the end of the day, it, you know, we all can relate that the bankruptcy was spiritual in nature. And so it really didn't, like, I've been through so much, but it really was always about just them very, very lows that I hit. And I'm just whether I overdosed on a sidewalk or whether I was just in some, crack house that was beyond filthy with people that I had no business being with, it was just always like this is my life. Like I can't believe that this is my life. And then even after I was actually introduced to a 12-step fellowship, to this day still saves my life. But even after I was introduced to that, and I would get these intervals of clean time, because now if I'm willing, I'll have 9 years. Next week I'll have 9 years. And but I've had a year before, 3.5 years, 2.5 years, a year. So I've had this time clean where I would practice principles and I would have this relationship with God and all of this, and then I would self-sabotage and throw it away. I was just so quick to completely throw my life away over a feeling, whether it was depression, whether it was heartbreak, whether it was just, it didn't matter, some type of uncomfortable situation. Like no matter how good my life was going, I would throw it away. And I was trying to basically just teach yesterday about how today is just so much different. Like I don't put a lot of emphasis on how I feel. And I really don't get caught up in the moment because I have so much tangible evidence in my life and personal experience that regardless of whatever I'm going through, I know that later tonight, tomorrow, and if I have to hold off for 3 days, I'm not going to feel that way. And it is, of course we want to feel good, but life isn't always about what we think or what we feel. It's about what we do, and I've learned that, and then, when I had a year and a half clean, when I had a year and a half off drugs and alcohol, my daughter was born. So then that was another thing too, where she wasn't my primary focus as far as I must stay clean for her, but she was this great motivation, and then just coming to that realization that my life is no longer about me. Them days of completely destroying my life because I don't like how I feel are over. And it just, I thank God for the predecessors that I have in my life and the people that came before me that have held my hand, through this journey, because they really have taught me how to show up despite how I feel. It's important that I, remain responsible, accountable, remain teachable, and always just try to guide, the loved ones around me in the right direction.
Absolutely. You said so many good things there. And that part about your daughter, we can't get sober for anybody else, but they are children, family members. They're great motivators. Mm-hmm. And that is, being able to recognize that is huge. So could you talk about those building blocks that you started putting together, things that you still utilize, but kind of the process of how you're here today?
The things that I do, the things I have done to, sustain my recovery really have not changed since my first month of being clean.
Yeah.
And, like I said, I attend a 12-step fellowship where, I go to meetings and I have these spiritual principles that I live by. And that's the type of things that I have to be able to practice. They say something even as simple as honesty, who can be honest? But listen, someone like me, this is a learned skill. I had to learn how to be honest. I had to learn how to accept things that didn't go my way. I had to learn how to surrender to some type of situation that I don't completely agree with.
Absolutely. Well, and I appreciate the fact that you talked about needing to learn how to do this stuff. It does not come naturally, I think, to a lot of people, and having support people and fellowship and whatnot to kind of show you the way is fantastic. So with that, practicing all these principles and whatnot, can you talk about the promises that have come true, some of the specific that you've been able to experience?
Yeah, I feel like everyone says this, but honestly, when I first got clean, I really just did not want to wake up dope sick anymore. And I was tired of disappointing my family. I had no goals, no aspirations, nothing. I just wanted the pain to stop. Okay. And it's just so crazy that over time, and having the faith, and not only having the faith, but, applying the discipline and the self-sacrifice and the willingness, it is honestly has just been one blessing after another. granted, life is like a roller coaster, up and down. I've had many bad experiences, many bad days, but even the fact, like, I was the type of person that was not even, employable. Like, I couldn't hold a job. I was someone that burned so many bridges and could not be trusted. I mean, and it's like today, it's like, today I have a career. Today, every single person in my life trusts me. I've managed to even, buy a home and more importantly than anything, just even be able to raise a little girl. Like I said, I could not take care of myself. You know what I mean? And then, like, today, it's like, I had this little 7-year-old, at my thigh, and it's like, it still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm serious. It still blows my mind that someone like me, have been able to do this. And someone as shy as me, someone that is scared and afraid of life as me, has been able to travel the entire country half the time completely by myself. You know what I mean? Just doing what I love. I've accomplished things that I honestly, truly never thought would be possible for me. And these might be normal things to other people, but to me, they're everything.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So once again, to backpedal, when I tell you about my gratitude, I just don't sit here and say I'm grateful. My gratitude is in everything that I do. And it means everything.
Beautiful. Well, thanks so much for taking time to share your story. It's incredible. And the way that you described, your story and you're really the redemption that is possible when we do things differently. It's incredible. So thank you again so much.
Thank you.